playing black-red zombies. We had him to start the day-to-day in round 1. He was victorious there. He lost round 2 and has not lost since. And of course, his zombies deck, if you guys follow it all, is a little bit different, which Gun can go over for you.
Yeah, he's got 4 Fume Spitters. He's got 4, he's got a Cemetery Reaper in there. And he's got 4 Walking Corpses.
That's correct.
Who I believe we've heard described as a 2/2 with a story to tell.
That's correct. He's the biggest fan of the Walking Corpse. He hates Blood Artiste.
His spell count is also very different. 4 Despise, 4 Guess Verdict, 4 Pillar Flame, 4 Brimstone Volley, and the 1 Mortar Pod, because really you never want to draw a second.
That's definitely true.
It's definitely true.
So that's kind of what he is rolling with for his zombie deck. On the other side, Michael Wong playing Esper Control. It's been a little while since we've seen a deck like this, but they don't change much. It is a very removal-heavy deck. There is some card manipulation in Ponder, Think Twice, Forbidden Alchemy. You're going to find, of course, your 4 Lingering Souls here. He does have 2 Day Adjustments and 2 Terminus to go along with a Consecrated Sphinx and a Grave Titan. You're also going to find a Batterskull, 2 Curse of Death's Hold, 2 Oblivion Ring, a mishmash of removal, and then his Planeswalkers are 2 Gideon Yura and 2 Liliana the Veil to go along with his mana base. So it's an Esper Control deck, as Michael is taking a mulligan here that we've seen before. The numbers are kind of radical, they're all over the place, but the goal of the deck is to prolong the game as best you can with your removal, both mass and spot removal. Draw the necessary cards to get to the late game and then take it from there.
So. Most notable, I think, about this deck is it is not a Solar Flare deck. It is very much an Esper Control deck. There are no Sun Titans or Burial Rites or Phantasmal Imaging going on. That makes him a lot softer to Geist of St. Trav than most lists of this nature.
Yep.
He's still managed to slug it out. He's at X1 here. I imagine his loss very likely to a Geist of St. Trav.
There are a lot of those running around.
There are a lot of them running around. He does have main deck Despises, which give him an additional out to the Legendary Spirit Cleric.
Okay.
But beyond that, I would hypothesize he's given up some margin against his Delver matchups, but I think it's probably paying off in the other matchups.
Now, what's probably happened here is that he has changed his deck in such a way that he's able to have like a relatively good game against zombies. It's probably one of the decks he was coming in here to beat, but he likely geared his deck to be a more traditional black-red zombies list with Blood Artist, with whatever. Like,
he's not ready for Walking Corpse.
Yeah, whatever red removal people have. Whereas Patrick is just like, yo, man, I got these Walking Corpses, I got these Geth's Verdicts, I got these Pillar Flames. This deck's a little bit different, so we'll see if Patrick's changes are going to help him or hurt him.
Interestingly, I think his changes certainly made mostly for creature matchups, but some of them, like Despise, could wind up being very backbreaking in the right position against Michael Wong.
Yeah, I mean, he has 4 Planeswalkers and 2 creatures, but the Planeswalkers that Patrick can hit, Gideon and Liliana, are both Planeswalkers that are relatively good against him, as we are going to see Despise here.
It's got at least a Grave Titan to hit.
Can't take Lingering Souls.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And so we're going to see a hand here of Oblivion Ring, 2 Lingering Souls, and a Dismember.
Do you think I think I might have just dismembered this Diagraph Ghoul. What do you think
right
about
away?
that? Because we're definitely taking 4 damage from that guy, right? Like minimum.
Yeah, and there's no reason taking an additional 4.
Yeah.
I could see that, actually. He's just going to pass back. Not dismembering now either. Does he draw the land? No, he just draws Liliana the Veil.
And he's in bad shape.
Yes.
To summarize the board state.
He is getting in worse shape by the minute, especially if Patrick does have like a 3rd land and a Dross Messenger. Again, electing to take the damage.
He has a Messenger. That's going to force Michael to draw a land and Oblivion Ring the Messenger, taking a 6th damage from the Diagraph Ghoul.
So this is going to put Michael down to 14. Does he have a 3rd land? He does, and it's a swamp. So his hand is on now.
Some kids run so good.
You're telling me. You are telling me. So not only does he have his 3rd land, but he has a swamp, so he can flashback Lingering Souls if necessary.
Man.
So
if Patrick had gotten to untap, he'd have actually been able to turn on his Geth's Verdicts for his Messenger to save it.
Yes.
From Oblivion Ring.
As we're in here for 2 more, we're going to see a Fume Spitter, which is not impressive in the face of 2 Lingering Souls.
It's the business.
Is that what it is? that should call it? So we're going to see a Lingering Souls here.
I think we drew a Drowned Catacomb as well for a turn, putting us to 4 mana.
Correctly, Mr. Jones.
I try to.
You do think correctly on this occasion. So we have 2 counters here to Spirit Tokens, along with the Drowned Catacombs. That's going to come into play tapped. Back to Patrick. Guess verdict number 1. Very unimpressive, but
do what you got to do. And then we'll be attacking with both of our creatures, I imagine. Oh, we have a Sign in Blood. We might be making a contract.
I promise we
don't.
don't.
Oh no, we don't have a Sign in Blood. You're right. What is that then?
It could be another Guess verdict.
Maybe. I admit to not being as familiar.
Maybe
It was a Despise. Those purple hues.
As we see that take the Liliana.
Do you like the Despise here? Like,
I'm okay with it. I mean, it's not great, but Patrick's going to use all his mana. He's going to get in for 3 here. He's going to put Michael down to 8.
I think I would prefer waiting until we saw a 5th land, because that way he could have drawn a Titan or something maybe. You got to know Patrick doesn't know the list. You know, he's kind of assuming his opponent is probably a Flare style deck.
Yeah, images, Titans,
yeah,
what have you.
There's also the risk that you just actually, like, against a Flare style deck, obviously not relevant here, though, you can sometimes Despise a Phantasmal Image into the graveyard, which is like the worst thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely a terrible interaction.
It is, it's mandatory that you select the card if you can.
And Patrick just did it, as they say. Drew his red source, and it was not a Dragon's, excuse me, it was not a Blackcliff Please, it was a Dragon Skull Summit. So his Brimstone Volley and his Pillar of Flame are now on. The tricky part, of course, is that we know that Michael has a Liliana of the Veil hovering near the top of the deck. But Patrick does not know that, so it's going to be difficult for him to just unload.
We're getting mutual blocks here.
Okay.
We have to just volley.
Crank it up.
Yeah. And even if we get Liliana'd here for the +1. Oh, nope, we're not. But even if we had.
What are we going to see here? We're going to see Dismember. Dismember finally cast.
Dismember kills a Diagraph Ghoul that attacked for how much? 8 at least, right?
Top him. That's going to do it. So Patrick Sullivan is up a game here, and Glenn, I do definitely agree with you. I think that Dismember on turn 1 or turn 2, just trying to think of over the course of the game how much damage that Diagraph Ghoul dealt. It was definitely more than 4.
Yeah.
So if it was more than 4, then he should have dismembered it a long time ago.
The issue is that there's not, in the zombie matchup especially, there's actually not a creature that it's worth saving the value for. Like, what are you going to dismember that's not a turn 1 Diagraph Ghoul? Like, a Falconwrath Aristocrat, if you like know your opponent's playing it, but that's even like kind of dubious because you're going to take the 4 from the Aristocrat anyway. Sure. So like it can oftentimes be better to just assume they won't have it or assume you're going to have Lingering Souls in the way. And all of the other zombies are terrible to dismember. Like Gravecaller, awful. Drops Messenger, only the undead side. Like Highborn Ghoul, I mean that's basically just a Diagraph Ghoul except it comes down a turn later. Why wouldn't you just kill the Diagraph Ghoul?
Yeah, sure. I mean, even he could kill Blood Artist. I get, like he could be saving it for Blood Artist, I guess.
I
but
don't like that play either.
Is that even good? Like you're taking 5 off of it then?
No. Yeah. Like.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like in that particular game, it shows too. Like that game, he took like you can just make it simple. He took more than 4, which means he probably should have killed it.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to harp on that because Michael is sideboarding here. And we can see what he can bring in to basically fix some things here. He does have
a lot.
He does have. It looks. I can't.
That's a 3.
That's a hanger, is what that is. That's an actual. That's an actual hanger.
Let's count it to make sure it's a 3. Yeah, that's a 3.
All right, so that's 3 celestial.
No, it's a 2. I got you.
It's a 2. All right, so it's 2. Some number of celestial virgins. 2.5.
2.5. We'll call it
2.5. 2 timely reinforcements. We could see a Divine Offering come in here, maybe. He didn't see Patrick's Mortipod, so I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, you never know. You could be trying to get a leg up on the competition.
Yeah.
Possibly another an additional Terminus would bring him up to 3, a total of 5 Wrath effects. And I really think that's about it. I don't see Negate coming in. I don't love Phantasmal Image in this matchup, so I don't really see that coming in, especially because he doesn't have Sun Titan in his deck.
Right.
But I think that's what we're going to see from Michael here.
I don't think I would be bringing in Phantasmal Image after I got Despised twice. Because I already know that I can kind of dodge Despise if I just happen to not have like one of these 6 legal things for it in my hand, which is kind of nice. And I could even see him possibly, like sideboarding out some of them. Like Liliana's not that great in this matchup, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's really
I could see us going down to 2 Gideon, a Consecrated Sphinx, and a Grave Titan, and then Despise is like a very potent card when it hits, but a complete brick when it doesn't. And we're just like putting Patrick into a bad position once we do that. So I definitely wouldn't want to bring in more Despise bait. But he also, maybe, not knowing the vagaries of Patrick's list makes that a lot more difficult.
Well, no one does but us, for the most part.
That's fair. Unless they were just listening to Portland coverage with you guys last week. He spewed all of the beans.
He definitely gave it out, but I mean, who's going to take him seriously when he's talking about Walking Corpse? Even I'm sitting next to him and I'm good friends with him, and I'm a little dubious.
He means it. In Patrick's board, he has not much for this matchup. Nihil Spellbomb, I imagine he'll be bringing in. It is possible he'll bring in Torpor Orb, not realizing his opponent's not on a Solar Titan. A Sun Titan. I got it. I found it. Not on a Sun Titan plan. Although now that I think about it, shouldn't we have called it Solar Titan? That's a way cooler name.
Solar Titan?
Solar Titan. Man, I like that name.
Yeah, it's actually, man, that's a shame.
That's a shame.
And we just never got there, even though it's very obvious.
I don't really see much else coming. We're not bringing in Skurzag High Priest here. Vampire Nighthawk's not any good. The Distresses, oh, sorry, those are Distresses. I thought those were just members, and then I read them, and I realized they weren't. Distress, which is located very close to the Dismembers in the sideboard. We're going to bring in the Distresses for sure, so that's 2 Distress, 2 Nihil Spellbound, and a Torpor Orb. I imagine we'll bring out some of those Geth's Verdicts, and probably some of those Fume Spitters.
Yeah, I mean,
we can't bring out all of them. I'd imagine something like, I don't know, 2 or 3 Fume Spitter and then 2 Geth's Verdicts, or maybe 3.
Those Geth's Verdicts seem like the easiest to go first and foremost, and then you can kind of go from there how you want to do it. You know, maybe he leaves in 1 or 2 copies of Geth's Verdict, as you said.
Amusingly, I think Mortar Pod's actually like quite strong.
Yeah, I do too. The game can go long enough where he can kind of get the Mortar Pod, Gravecrawler, action going. It also can. I mean, breaking up a Lingering Soul is actually pretty good, too.
You just had Stream Team shirts on both sides of the feature.
There's no way that could happen.
James Gates walked by for a look-see.
Oh, my goodness.
You had it. Yep.
Building a brand.
Building a brand.
How's it feel? I feel accomplished. I feel like $1 million, even though I'm still broke. But it's okay. One day at a time. One day at a time.
One day at a time.
MJ, I hope you're proud. I hope you're proud, Mike.
How was he? He was doing well in the mocks, wasn't he?
He was 7-1 in the mocks, and then he kept 2 2-landers on the draw. I did not draw a 3rd one either game. So tough way to go in what is likely like a 10 or 11 round tournament.
That's the way it goes, man.
Yeah. Those tournaments, they're too long, too brutal too. Too brutal.
Patrick asking Michael to pick his cards up closer to his chest because Patrick can see them.
You have to appreciate that.
Stand-up sporting guy. Had the same instance happen to me a few times. Incidentally, someone pointed out on Twitter when I commented that if someone ponders and starts resolving their ponder and then tries to put a Drake into play afterwards, makes me a bit of a rule stickler to not give them the Drake. And yeah, I'll agree with that. But if someone's doing something like flashing their cards, I'll always stop that. It's just
hold those a little closer to the chest.
I'm here to scum you, not to cheat you.
Yeah, go ahead and retweet that if you'd like, just so you know where Glenn stands.
Yeah.
As we see a Gravecrawler coming into play.
Reasonable man. Turn 1 Glacial Fortress over the plains. A choice I also like because you don't want to let your opponent know exactly what's going on.
That's fair. That's fair. So we do see Gravecrawler coming on in. Patrick. I've seen him keep a 1-lander once today.
Not today.
But not today. All right. Oh, this is 1-Drop City.
Woo!
Terminus City, USA. And we're going to see Lingering Souls looking to put up a fight here. Now, I do see one Geth's Verdict. I see one Geth's Verdict hiding out in Patrick's hand. And we're going to get 2 spirits from our table spotter.
Do we just sack our Fume Spitter to go ahead and get in 2, or do we let our opponent make the decision? Oh, we drew a Mortar Pod. Never mind. Our world just changed.
Our world did just change. You draw a card every turn. Do you know that?
Yep.
Every single turn. That's why you just don't Fume Spitter on the end step, because anything could happen in your draw.
Oh, that's the worst one. Oh, he has a Nihil Spellbound. So he's probably considering just popping that to get rid of the Lingering Souls before Black Source comes down. Interestingly, we know our opponent can't have an untapped Black Source other than Swamp on the next turn, so I don't think I like that. Okay, yeah.
All right.
Mortar Pod, as predicted. How do we like Michael start? He has a Mortar Pod of his own, fighting some fire with fire. And a Lilion, I think, and something else.
He's got some land issues both times this game. Michael
That's one of the difficulties with this deck, though. When you don't start with an Evolving Wilds to actually structure your tap lands, it can be really problematic. He has a Slip, a Go for the Throat, a Consecrated Sphinx, and something else.
Looks like a lot of cards that he just really can't play.
Yeah. Think Twice, it looks like. Time Spiral, Think Twice, yep. So, basically a bunch of nothing.
We're going to get back the Gravecrawler here. Patrick's also going to play that Nihil Spellbound that you did speak of.
So, Michael really needs a Swamp. That's not it.
And again, as you pointed out, I didn't really even think about that. There aren't many Black Sources in his deck that are going to come into play untapped at this point. There's Isolated Chapel that he has 4 of, and he has 4 Swamps.
All right, I did forget the
But,
chapel.
I mean, Darkslick Shores off, and Drowned Catacomb off.
And Evolving Wilds off. So basically half of his sources. He has like 16 Black Sources, but only half of them come into play untapped.
So we see Patrick, we have a Think Twice here, potential of a Terminus, and that's not going to happen.
Good on Michael, though, taking advantage of the potential there.
Now we're going to see that corpse that was made for walk-in, so that's just what he'll do.
How long have we waited to bust that one out?
One of these days, and it could be today, this corpse is going to walk all over you.
I don't think Michael minded the match so much until he saw the walking corpse. Now he really wants to win.
Yeah, now, dejected. Can't believe this is happening. Not like this. Not the walking corpse.
Nobody wants to get walking corpse on live television, man. That's grim. Oh, we have a terminus.
We do have a terminus.
And we have a think twice in our graveyard. Oh man. Oh, we can't flash it back and terminus this turn.
We can't flash it back. You don't want to get
small
too
miracles. But
as we do have a swamp here, so he can flash back Lingering Souls, and he's choosing not to.
We're just gonna have to take a bunch here.
Well, he does have a Go for the Throat and a Tragic Slip kind of hanging around. He also didn't flash back that Lingering Souls. So to me, there's kind of like a little thing going off in Patrick's head right now, probably.
Yeah.
Of like, why didn't he flash that back? I guess it's not particularly good right now to flash back, but there's probably something going on in Patrick's head now. Maybe some alarm bells or something that he has something I care about finally.
My creatures, they might die.
As we're coming across for 6. Go for the Throat's going to make it a little less.
Now, interestingly, what do you think about Go for the Gravecrawler? I was about to say, like, I actually think I like Go for the Gravecrawler because it'll stunt Patrick's development a little, and you'll still get full value on killing all the creatures, unless Patrick wises up to your games and leaves that Gravecrawler.
I mean, that play is suspicious too, right? Go
to
for
be
the
fair,
Gravecrawler.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Patrick pass?
Yeah, he just passed.
I don't know if I like that. I kind of like moving the Mortar Pod to the Gravecrawler that I already have.
Well, I'm interested to see what he has in his hand. Maybe he wants to be activating that Nile Spellbomb and drawing a card.
Terminus doesn't put creatures in.
He's new. He's new.
Okay. Whew. We're gonna Nihil Spellbomb the graveyard.
He's gonna think twice in response, and now we're gonna get that Lingering Souls.
Yep. Patrick forcing Michael to tap out before knowing what he's gonna draw, except that he pondered, so he already knew what he was gonna draw.
Yeah, he had an idea.
He had ideas, big ones.
Messenger drawn for Patrick. Ooh, third.
That's a nice card.
Oh, look at the oomph that he puts that in there. Hello, ladies. Draws Messenger, knocking Michael down to 4. Let's see if he can come back now.
Patrick Sullivan is something of a vampire. As the closer you get to 0, the more animated he becomes.
That's true. That's actually true. I hadn't considered that. Patrick draws his card, another black Spellbomb.
Not so bad, not so bad. Imagine we swing. I'm not sure.
Here we go. Celestial Purge?
Celestial Purge.
What do you say? Patrick says okay.
Do you think we should have cast our Gravecrawler before attacking there?
I mean, we don't have a really good view of
what we
what's in
have.
his
Okay,
hand,
yeah.
But that one's good.
That one's good, yeah. I don't agree with the casting Gravecrawler if we have another Messenger.
Ponder, can you save us? The thing is like Patrick has just all these cards in his hand. He has all these options. He has an Isle Spellbomb that's going to cycle as well.
And he has so many cards in the deck that just kill the opponent. Flames and Brimstone Volleys. We don't know which of those, if any, he sided out. Plus more Messengers for sure do the trick.
As we see an Oblivion Ring there from Michael. You know, and like any burn spell's going to do it at this point. Is he just draws Brimstone Volley as I say that upstairs? That's going to do it.
Yep.
So Patrick Sullivan, in what I feel is probably a pretty good matchup for him, wins this match 2-0. Moving on to 7-1 with his take on zombies. He is putting his money where his mouth is. Him and his walking corpses and there's a walking corpse eye. I don't think it's corpses. What's the plural?
Corpses.
Corpses? Okay. All right, I always like to check for you grammar people there at home. You know, his Despises, his Geth Verdicts, his Pillar of Flames. This is not a traditional black-red zombies deck. And he is still showing the world that he does not care, that he can do things his way and still be victorious. So he's going to move on to 7-1, which is pretty fantastic and makes the CEO of the stream team happy as well.
No, I'm happy to hear that. Where's he?
The CEO's name will not be revealed.
Oh, okay. He's a silent partner?
Silent partner. The name will not be revealed.
All right. Well, perhaps Patrick will...